we seem to be taking for granted who these men are and what they've done for us. And our veterans did their bit 85 years ago. They also fought, some died, some imprisoned, also suffered terrible hardship to gain global independence. Global independence this time from fascism. To go to war, to leave their families behind, and to be killed or to kill. And that's in you, and it never leaves. But the Allies deployed over 1 million men. 10% of that fighting force was from East and West Africa. Nearly 29,000 killed, or some tragically still missing. Over 44,000 wounded, and 12,700 died of disease during that war, that Burma campaign in the jungle. These are real, hard-fighting battles that our men went through. And so these medals are earned. They're not just given.
It's a great sacrifice. Thank you so much.
So please give this to your father with our greatest congratulations and gratitude for everything that he did. It's an honor to see you. Thank you.
We honor you. Thank you.
So I'm sorry he could not come, but please give him all our congratulations and our gratitude for his service.
Exactly.
And asante for everything you have done. It's an honor to meet you. On behalf of His Majesty the King, it's my honor to have presented the medals to you for the service that you did on behalf of all of us. It's particularly an honor because I follow directly from His Majesty the King, who on his state visit to Kenya exactly a year ago also presented medals to Kenyan veterans at the Kariakor Cemetery. And I know from talking to His Majesty that that was an important and meaningful part of his visit here, and for us to recognize and say thank you to those who fought on our behalf during the Second World War. So following on from His Majesty, it's my honor to do the same here today.
I lost one grandfather during this war. Another was a prisoner of war for 5 years, and he too suffered terrible hardships. When he returned from the war, there was no special treatment, there was no medal parades, and in many ways, not even much respect. They were just expected to get back on with their life, get the job done. And that's just how it was in those days for everyone. They just got on with their life after the war, because soldiers, we military men and women, are joined in an unspoken and unwritten union. I call it above politics and below God. It's right in the middle, that sweet spot of life. We don't talk about our time in the military or even the sometimes daily hardships of our life's journey post-military service, but they're never really that far away. So if you get the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, talk to our veterans today and hear a story, understand what they did for us. Real living heroes who in their day were scared as hell, I'm sure, to go and do what they had to do. They didn't know what lay ahead of them, but they went ahead and did it for us. They went to war not for the politicians, but for the cause of right, for our way of life, and most importantly, for the man standing next to them in the same uniform, in a wet and muddy trench in some godforsaken country.
It gives me quite a huge pleasure and unspeakable words because of what you went through. I thank them, and I thank them on behalf of the KDF. I really thank them, standing here on behalf of my CDF and the Kenya Defense Fraternity. Since the disbandment of the historical British Legion Africa, at the end of the World War II, especially during the demobilization, many veterans lost, displaced their documents and medals, leaving them with no mementos for their memorable service to the Crown. Hence, the importance of today's event. Another function like this was held early this year in Kakamega in Western Kenya on 15th February, where 15 veterans from 5 countries were awarded medals. It is, however, sad to note that 5 out of the 15 who were awarded medals have since passed on. May God rest their souls in eternal peace. It is the wish from the CDF and the KDF to take this opportunity to recognize the efforts that Sam Matok and his staff have made to recognize this colorful event and encourage you to continue that direction. Similarly, the staff of the KDF, through the Chief of Defense, who has worked tirelessly in coordination with the branch officials in bringing veterans to Nairobi.
Today's event has required a huge amount of work, and we're very grateful to the support that we've received in making this event come to pass. I'd particularly like to thank the Kenyan Defence Forces, represented here by Major General Matuku, for the support that they've given, and particularly to DEFOCA, the Defence Former Comrades Association, particularly the Director General, the Brigadier here today, and Esther, who've worked incredibly hard with us to make these ceremonies come to life. I'd also like to thank Sam Matok, who is the driving force behind this, who has worked selflessly off his own initiative and has identified veterans throughout the country who we can present medals to. He's helped arrange the ceremonies, and he's worked to get the medals produced and given to us today that we've handed out. So I'm hugely grateful to Sam for everything that he's done.
Each one of their medals is really important for them to remember their service. And I think it shows in a very small way, they are but medals, in a small way shows from the United Kingdom thanking these people for their service. The future looks like us continuing to honour the service of veterans from Kenya of World War II. Whilst it's difficult to find everybody, I think it's important to try and find people now before they're getting very old now. It's best to give these representation of medals to people rather than their relatives. So we will do our best working with the DEFOCA team and the Royal British Legion to find these people.
I, as the Managing Director of Defence Forces Comrades Association, I want to thank the British League and the association with the British government for this initiative.
I think the big thing for me is to take part in something like this on a different continent with people who are double my age, and I'm not young anymore, is something I'll take and carry with me for a long time. It's been a great honour and privilege to meet some of these people and their families. So.
It might look like something small, but the impact of it, because as he rightly said, some lost them, some had to get rid of them to avoid persecution and all that. So it's about being able to recognise what they did for us, because again, for our today, they basically sacrificed a lot. Some would have lost their families when they got back. Some would have lost their jobs. People gave up a lot to do what they did for us. So basically, things like that makes it very good, yeah.
I've been very fortunate in my career. Amongst the paintings I've done, I painted the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. I've just painted the King. And I'd like to come here and perhaps do a painting of some of your veterans, because I think they have a fascinating story to tell. And I think the wider world should know more about it. I think this is an important story. I spent time in Afghanistan, so I've seen war firsthand. I think that art has a very important role to play in telling stories. And ironically, soldiers often appreciate art more than anyone else, because anyone who has been close to death appreciates the value of beauty.
How the medals fit in, it just is another opportunity for us to remember specifically the very real sacrifices, the trauma, the danger, the hardship on what we know to have been an incredible sacrifice by so many. And it is beholden on us to remember and let the veterans know that we remember. And an event like this is exactly that, to say that we do not forget, we will not forget, and we have not forgotten.
a tradition established in the aftermath of World War I, commemorates the fallen, but also aims to comfort those dealing with the trauma of war. Coming together, collectively, we commemorate all those affected by conflict, past and present. This transforms the division of conflict into bonds of peace and friendship. Remembrance Day also allows us to reflect on past sacrifices and to acknowledge those sacrifices that continue to be made, from the Kenya-Somalia border to Ukraine and across the world. The dignified and professional presence of the Kenya Defence Forces here today underlines how significant remembrance is to those who serve. Within these beautiful grounds at the Ngong Cemetery, maintained by the Commonwealth War Grave Commission, we also remember the many African and Indian soldiers who fought and died here in East Africa and beyond during the two world wars. Tragically, history failed to record many of those who made the ultimate sacrifice here in Kenya. And the Commonwealth War Grave Commission's non-commemoration project has a clear mandate to address this historical inequality. And His Majesty the King paid tribute to those during his state visit to Kenya a year ago. Now, in its third year, this programme aims to ensure that all those who died in the world wars are remembered equally.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.